see you all again. I've missed you guys. It's been almost like a month now since I've been here. And I want to give a split sermon, but I also want to fill you guys in on what's been going on in my life. So I'm going to give you like a sermononi, just a split between a testimony and a sermon. It's kind of sound rough. The original reason why I wasn't here 3 weeks ago was because I was with a bunch of the GCI members in Orlando. And it's all thanks to you guys that I could go.
Amen.
Thank you guys so much. I just want to thank you. I'm going to go up after church and thank each one of you who really helped me, who gave me money to be able to fly there, be able to eat there, be able to just survive. And I just, no really.
Amen.
It would not have been possible if it weren't for you guys, and ultimately if it weren't for Christ working through you guys. And I just want to thank you so much for really just honoring me and just giving me what you could to be able to let me buy my ticket, to be able to let me get a room there and stay there. And that my time there was really incredible, because it was the very first GCI annual global conference, I'm not sure what it's called, something like that I've ever been to, because growing up in New Life, every 3 years I'd see Pastor Burmy and his family just go there. I'm just like, I want to go to that. I want to see what that is. It seems so like cool. They're in Orlando. They're hanging out with all these people from GCI. I want to go, but my parents just never went, so I never got a chance. And so now I had the unique opportunity to finally go for the very first time, and it was really incredible because I got a chance more so than what usually pastors and pastors' wives and just pastoral families do. Normally they're with the main group of people, and they go to all these I don't know what they're called, workshops. They go to workshops during the day, and so I didn't get the opportunity to go to all these different workshops because I was with the pastoral interns, and I was with what's it called? That's a Gen Min, with Generations Ministry, and that has to do with just reaching different generations, reaching youth. And so Anthony Mullins, if any of you have heard that name, he's the one who's in charge of that. And so I was kind of hanging out with my other pastoral interns and just the youth of GCI. And it was really nice because I had an opportunity to not necessarily go into these workshops and just learn all this head knowledge, but I got a chance to really talk to people, to get to the crux of what being a pastor is about, and that's relationship with people. It's getting to know people. It's like building up a relationship with just people everywhere. And I hadn't known a lot of these people who were in GCI, not even their name, but let alone who they were as a person. So I had the entire week/weekend just to get to know people, get to know who they are, get to know their story, and for them to get to know me, to go out and meet not only Gen Min people, but the different adults, the different leaders in GCI, and kind of just let them know that I plan on being a pastor. I'm not just Merv's son anymore, and I'm loving that I'm no longer acknowledged by that anymore. Because when I was there, it's like I noticed that towards the end, only one person was like, "Oh, you're Merv's son, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I'm Merv's son." But only once was that actually mentioned to me. The rest of the time, they're just like, "Oh, you're Anthony Walton. You're that pastor. You're becoming a pastor, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And it was just really nice to see that I'm actually being acknowledged. Although obviously, I'm not doing it for fame or anything. But it's just nice to be recognized as kind of my own person for once, and not kind of stepping out of my dad's shadow. And so that was just this really nice, encouraging, edifying experience, as well as being there and just being able to network with people, for them to get to know me. And just for when they see me again, they're going to be like, "Oh, Anthony, you're the pastoral intern. How are you doing? What have you been up to? What ministries have you been involved with?" People will recognize me. But while I was there, I also did have time to go to 1 or 2 workshops. They're pretty interesting. I went to one that was talking about how to preach the gospel of grace without being a universalist. And that was a very theologically heavy workshop that I got most of it, but there's some parts where it's just like, I need to talk to Pastor Burmy about it, which I need to talk to you about, because it's intense. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to go to Orlando. It was the first of many where I'll see GCI as a whole. coming from my background, coming from my parents who raised me, coming from New Life, I've been able to see GCI grow. Because one thing I've been kind of interested in, that I've been talking to people out there, like Jeff Rodnax, or there's a guy named Mike Swaggerty, just different people who've been in WCG, and just seeing where we've come from, just so I can appreciate what God has really done with GCI as a whole, and just really appreciate and just really just love just how much God has loved us, to be able to bring us from where we were to where we are in our understanding of grace, and just how much grace God has poured out on us as a denomination. And so that's just been really, it was a really amazing time for me to be there. So I just thank you guys so much for just helping me going out there. I'm just going to clap for you. Thank you so much. You don't have to clap. It was for you guys. Anyway, and so after that weekend, I actually got a job. I got a job, and so that was really exciting. That's actually what kind of the main message, what I'm going to be talking about, this job. But I'm going to skip that for now and just skip to the next thing really quick, and then we're going to go back. Because what I did prior to that was last week when I wasn't here, every 6 months, 6 or 7 months, there's this church called Foursquare, and they do this grant scoring weekend where they pay a lot, $20 an hour. And so it's just like a really quick $300. I'm like, I can't miss that opportunity to make $300 really easy. And so they do that every 7 months. And what they do is, what Foursquare does is they sponsor and they just fund and they give grants out to ministries in different churches that are trying to accomplish something. And so what I would do is I would go through these gigantic, like 100-page applications and just kind of score them. And just say like, oh, they have emerging leaders, oh, they have this, oh, they have a plan of action, they have all this, and they're really just like on it. And that's what I was just doing that weekend. It was funny because when I first did that in February, that's where God really spoke to me to become a pastoral intern. And so, I don't know how many of you do that, but that's how God actually spoke to me the first time I was there. And I was reading through all these different ministries and churches doing like really great stuff, and they're talking about their emerging leaders in their church or their ministry or whatever they're doing. And I was sitting there and I really felt the Holy Spirit press on me really hard. And he's just like, you are supposed to be one of those emerging leaders in your church. And that's when I instantly remembered how Pastor Burmy a year before that was asked me to become a pastoral intern, and at that time I declined it. But that's just some side. And so that's where I was in that weekend, and it was just, that also is really encouraging for me and really just reinforcing to see just all these different ministries and just see how God works in just completely different places. I saw just stories of people who would do ministry in like Cuba, where I believe it's illegal there, and they would like be stationed right next to Cuba in like a different city or something, and then they would like send people over there who were like 100% aware of the risk of being incarcerated for 2 years just from sharing the gospel, and just how passionate and just how on fire people are just around the world. They don't have to be a part of GCI, they just have to be in love with God, with Christ, to be able to do His work. And so it was really encouraging for me to see that, just to see all the different things that people are doing out there, just all the really great things that people just all the work with God that people are doing. And so back to trying to get back to my sermonette that I'm doing. So the biggest news is that I got a job recently. I got a job 3.5 weeks ago. And I work for this food bank called God Provides. And it's a Christian food bank. It's a Native American Christian food bank. I used to work for them like 3 years ago, but then I stopped, but then I came back. And it's just been such an incredible experience because it's obviously it's a ministry. It's a food bank. We're feeding people, we're feeding the poor, feeding the homeless, we're feeding those who are just in like terrible situations in their life. We're even feeding people who are just like doing well. People who just want like a lot of food for cheap money, they can go there and you don't need any requirements. And so it's really just been a blessing to work there and to see all the lives change and just all the lives just like blessed on a daily basis. As well as like for me to get like some form of fund. But it really, working there really opened my eyes to what real world ministry is. See, I just tied it back to the title right there. it helped me realize what real world ministry is, because ministry looks like a lot of different things, but I feel as though in today's world, especially in America, it has this like negative connotation because it's so hyped up and because it's so glorified, and where it makes it seem like, oh, you have to be standing behind this pulpit wearing this suit and this tie at all times to be able to do ministry. You have to have a degree, you have to have all this teaching, you have to have all this stuff to be able to do ministry. And then a lot of people, they get so proud about it. They're like, oh, I'm doing ministry, I'm better than you. And it's a real thing. I've seen it happen. And this has really shown me just how real ministry gets, and how real ministry, to be blunt, is ugly. Real ministry is ugly. It's not like always like shaking hands with people, going to church only on Sundays. It's doing things where it's like you get dirty, you get sweaty, you're tired, you have to wake up early. Because that's one thing, just my entire life has been my weakness. Waking up early. I can't do it. Oh my goodness, I gotta pray to God every single morning I wake up to get me out of that bed. Because it's hard. I don't know how people do it, but I have to wake up at 6 a.m. every day. And then I get home at 6 p.m. every day. And so I have a long day of work at this place where I don't get paid even minimum wage. I get paid close to half of minimum wage. But I work like 55-hour weeks. And a lot of people are just like, Anthony, you should be getting paid more for what you're doing. You should be doing this and this and this. And I'm like, no, there's a difference between me and you when you go to work. Because like a lot of my friends, when they go to work, they're just like, I hate my job so much, it sucks. I hate my boss, he's horrible. I hate my coworkers, they're mean. I hate my clients, they're ugly. Something really just trivial. And they're just like, oh, I hate this, I hate this. And they're like, I don't get paid enough, I wish I got paid more, I wish I had more hours, but I hate working. And they're just so negative about work. And I'm just like, you make like triple what I make for half the labor I do, and you're complaining still about it. And I just look back at it, because every morning, it's such a struggle to force myself to get out of that bed at 6 a.m. because my bed is just so seducing, it's so seductive for me to just stay in it. And I just want to just lay there. It's so warm and cozy. The sun's barely rising. It's another hour, 2 hours maybe. And so I get up and I go to work. And what I do there is I'm the manager there. I'm the manager of this place, and I just ensure that this place is operating. I ensure that this place it works, that it stays running, because there's just me, this other guy who's another manager, and the owner, because it's a completely self-sustained food charity that this guy named Alan Espinoza built up from the ground up. And so I go through this every day, and then at the end of the day, when I first started, I had no idea why, but then whenever I look back, I always see it that at the end of the day, I turn on some music in my car when I'm driving home, some like worship music, and I just want to sing. I just feel great at the end of the day. I just feel filled with life, even though physically I'm exhausted. Physically I'm like cut, bruised, dirty, sweaty, this nasty smelling, but I feel amazing, because I know that what I'm doing isn't something shallow. It's not something that's just, oh, I'm doing this for the money. No, I'm doing it for these people who are just in terrible situations. And that's what real ministry is all about. It's not about yourself. It's not about the money you get paid or don't get paid. It's about who you're doing it for. It's about causing people's gazes to shift from their situation to look up at God and see that He will provide no matter what. No matter what situation you're in, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've done, He will provide for you. You just have to place, even if you don't trust Him, He'll still provide for you. You just have to look back and see it, those little instances where He did provide for you. And so, I've been really going through this process of just seeing what ministry looks like, because since I've decided to become a pastor, I've gone through a continual process, and I still will as I grow and learn more about it. Just what being a pastor looks like. Because the very first thing, and that was one of the first things that Pastor Burmy told me, was that being a pastor is not just speaking behind this pulpit once a week and getting paid for it. And that's what I was under the impression it was at first. And I was like, oh, that sounds easy. It sounds nice. It sounds cozy. But then I start to see that it's not. It's not just that. I mean, yeah, you do that. You do preach. But I remember, I forget his name. It was Ted Johnston. He told me something pretty important. He said that in his work, because he's a pastor, he's been pastor for like 30, 40 years, something like that, a long time. So he has a lot of experience. He's in GCF. And he was saying how, out of all his like 40 years of pastoring, all the people he's talked to, all the people he's helped, all the people he's ministered to, like 1% of them remember like 1% of the sermons he's given. And no matter how powerful they could be, no matter how just like life transforming they could be, no matter how much conviction or how convicted someone feels after he speaks, they don't remember it. Just in like a week or two, they forgot. They're like, oh, I don't remember what he spoke about. I remember what I did at work the other day. But he said just the life you live speaks so much more than what any pastor, what I could say behind a microphone. The life I live, if I'm living a life of Christ, if I'm showing that what I'm doing on a daily basis represents Christ, and what I'm doing on a daily basis glorifies Christ, that'll show people more. Because when you think of a pastor, when you think of like a good pastor, like Pastor Burma, you don't think of him just standing behind her speaking. Think of all the things he's done for you personally, all the things he's gone out of his way for, all the times he's like just listened to you, the times he's counseled you, the times he's just been there. Most of the times, you don't think of this. It's like, now, I would say, can you remember his last message? Because I remember every single word he said last time, totally. And so, yeah, just coming to understand what real ministry is. And I haven't even like given you any examples yet, because I want to tell you a joke first that my boss told me one of the first days I started working there. Because one of my responsibilities as manager is I have to ensure that our drivers go to the proper places to pick up all the spoils from different companies. And I have to make sure they get there on time, and they get back and we like get the food out of these trucks and we get it like properly like refrigerated or frozen or just like correctly organized. And I have to do all this and I have to call people and all this stuff. And I remember one day, it wasn't my fault, but my boss Alan, he forgot to call someone, so we missed this truckload of just food that we normally get. It's like $800 worth of just like produce. And so he's just like, oh, that was my mistake, I forgot. But then he told me this like story, this joke, that I'm going to tell you right now. And it was just so, it made me laugh, and I think it perfectly applies to ministry as well. So, there's these two guys. They're brothers. One guy lives in Guatemala, the other lives in America, he lives in California. And so, this guy in Guatemala, he's just having a rough time. It's just hard, there's not a lot of work there, or poverty. It's just rampant everywhere. There's a lot of just like muggings and just stealing, just bad there. There's not a lot of good work. And there's not even a lot of opportunities for education. So like, he calls up his cousin one day, and he says, hey cousin, Guatemala's just, it's horrible. I can't find work. I can barely survive on my own here. It's like, could you like send me money, or could you just help me somehow? And his cousin says like, hey, let's give these people names, just because it makes it more personal. We'll say that cousin is Bernie. And we'll say the guy who's in Guatemala is me. And so I call Pastor Bernie and I'm just like, hey, can you help me? I just can't do it here in Guatemala. I need financial support. It's hard. I can't do this. And so Pastor Bernie says, yeah, just come over to America. I'll help you out. Just money here, it's just literally, it's on the ground. You just have to go around, you have to pick it up. That's all you have to do. It's that, America's amazing. Just walking around the street, you see money on the ground. Just pick it up. You can get rich here. It's so easy. And so I hear that, and I'm just like, whoa, that sounds incredible. America? Oh my goodness. I need to save up and go to America. And so I save up for a few months, and I do whatever I can. I do like odd jobs, whatever. I do whatever I can to save up enough money for a plane ticket. I buy my plane ticket, and I'm heading to America to go live with Pastor Burmy and to just like pick up all this money on the go. And so I'm really excited. I land there, I get in this airport, I'm like, oh, this is so nice. this entire airport is just so constructed and everything's so orderly, and you're just like, no one's dead somewhere. It's really nice here. And so I call for a taxi, and it comes over. And I'm just like, okay, this is really awesome. So he drives me, and I just have enough money to make it like a few blocks away from his house. And so I'm like 3 or 4 blocks away from Pastor Burley's house. And then I'm just like, wow. I'm just looking around. I'm just like, wow, these streets are so clean. It's like there's concrete everywhere. There are sidewalks. There are trees. There are lawns. There are houses. Everything is just orderly. Everything is nice. There's no chaos. It's nice. People have like nice cars. People have nice stuff here. And I'm just so amazed by it. I'm just like, what's going on? I love this place. And I'm just so awestruck by America compared to this Guatemala, because I grew up in like the streets, like the bad, like back alleys of place, having to like steal food to live. And so I'm walking, and I'm just like, I don't see any money on the ground yet. I wonder what's going on. I don't see anything. But I don't know, maybe it's just a slow day for America here. And so I'm walking, and what I don't know is that Pastor Burby, for a living, what he does is he picks up recycling on the ground. He picks up plastic bottles, he picks up tin cans, he picks up and he recycles it, and he gets money. And so money's lying on the ground, and so I don't know this. And so I'm just walking, I'm going to his house, I'm just like, okay, I can't wait for this. And so I'm just like walking, I'm really excited, and then I'm walking, and then right before his house, I see a gutter. And then I see like a $100 bill just lying there. I'm just like, whoa, money does grow on the ground here. It's just lying anywhere. And so I'm going to go down and pick it up, and I stop. I'm like, I'll just start tomorrow. And then I go off to his house. And that's the end of the story. And the point is that in business or in ministry, we have opportunities every day to either save lives, to bless lives, or even just to speak something into someone's lives on a daily basis. And it's not hard to talk to people. It's not hard. We all know people, and even if we don't, whenever just coming here, I encountered people that I didn't know. And it's easy. It's easy as picking up something on the ground. You don't have to necessarily save their soul to be good, quote unquote, at doing ministry. You can just talk to them, just being nice to them, just saying like, oh, hey, keep it up. Hey, you're doing good. Hey, someone out there loves you. I want to see you succeed. You can just say just random things like that. It's just encouraging. Just like if I was walking, like when I'm at work, when I see homeless people, I'm just like, wow, you're so helpful. Wow, you're so this. Wow, you're so that. I'm just like, I've never encountered someone like you. Why do you have so much joy inside of you? And I'm just like, it's because of who I serve. It's because of who I'm in love with. And so, we all know that Christ in his ministry has done dozens of things. It's like, I'll just go to 2 real quick. Let's go to Matthew 8:16. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'll read it off to you either way. It says, when evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. Matthew 9, verse 35. Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. Jesus, throughout all of his ministry, he would always go out and just like heal the sick. He would feed the poor. He would help those who were just down. He would encourage those who just needed it. He would just help in every instance. We all know this. It's just who Jesus is. When we think of Jesus, we just think of this perfect guy who just always is out doing ministry, helping people. It's good. It's who he was. But one verse in particular that I don't think we see enough, like my entire life of being in a church, I don't think I've ever seen this one verse I'm about to say brought up. And I remember one day when I read it, I was just so touched by it. I was like, why is this not talked about more? This is so amazing. And it's John 21, verse 25. I'll just start. And it says, Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have room for the books that would be written. I don't know why that's not ever spoken. Jesus did it so much in his life, and yet we just get this tiny, tiny glimpse of it. And those are just like, for whatever reason, God deemed that these are the things that are important that we need to know. But Jesus did so many things, because I'm sure we've all had the thought, like, oh, did Jesus ever have like a not intense conversation where he's just like preaching over them? Did he ever say like, hey, what's up? How you doing, man? How you feeling today? Although I already know God, but I just want to have a conversation with you. Like, did he ever have just conversations where he would just listen to people? Did he ever have like instances where he was bored even? Did he ever be quote unquote normal with people? And I really think that this verse right here just shows so much about Jesus, in that it doesn't show anything at all. Because it shows just how much he's done. And yet we only see these small glimpses of things. And throughout his entire ministry, mostly what we see is him doing a lot of healings. We see him going out to people who are just like the outcasts of society, hanging out with prostitutes and hanging out with lepers, healing them, loving them, being physical with them, like with lepers who would like hug them. And that was just taboo at that time. You just completely avoid a leper because they're just diseased. You could catch leprosy thing, right? Yeah, you can catch leprosy. So Jesus would just be the exact opposite. He would go out and he would go into the world and he would do things that were just dirty. He would hug those who were seen as unclean. Maybe even at that time they were considered ritually unclean. People who were just by the law were just dead. By the law they were just looked at as just ugly. By the law they were just looked at as just outcasts, and that they could never be saved, they could never be loved, they could never be redeemed. But Jesus went out of his way to serve those people more so than those who were like in the churches, those who were in the synagogues. In fact, we all know that Jesus would argue all the time with those the Pharisees, and the Pharisees were supposed to be those people who knew the word the most. They're the ones who studied the word the most, the ones who had the most head knowledge of the word, and the people who would just read the word day and night, but they didn't have the love of Christ in it. They didn't have the love of Christ in them. They just had all this head knowledge of Christ. And so that's what's caused me, and so in me working with just so many people who are just homeless, people who are just considered the outcasts of society, people who are like prostitutes, people who are ex-cons, people who are on rehabilitation programs because they're addicted to a substance, people who are former alcoholics, people who just come from the worst worlds. And those are people who I work with. Those are people who are under me. And me, this 23-year-old little kid, coming in, looking all nice, clean cut, haircut, no facial hair even, no tattoos, no scars on my face. I have none of that. So I'm just like this really like, who are you to talk to me like that? And so I just come in there and I'm just this like really nice, compared to them, I just look so innocent. I look like I have money on my person, although I'm really broke. I dress nice and so I look expensive. And so these guys, they come in here when I first started there, and they were really like resistant to me. And so in this time, I learned how God's love can permeate and just transcend any and all resistance, and just how whether I'm just working with people who I work with, or doing ministry with those who are just in horrible places in their lives, I just see what it looks like to do real ministry. How most ministry, real ministry, most of it isn't seen. Most of it isn't behind a pulpit. Most of it isn't this highly organized event that everyone sees. Most of it is the small, dirty stuff, like helping someone clean out their house even, helping someone with a tough time, just listening to them. And how most of, if not all of you here, I know you're all involved in ministry, whether you know it or not, whether it's you holding some kind of event, or if it's just you listening to someone who just had someone die in their life. That's all ministry. That's all you just extending Christ's love to someone else. And that's important, because that's what God wants from us. Because as we see in John 21:25, most of his ministry, most of what he did was not recorded, and just a small percentage of it. And so likewise with us, most of the ministry we do will not be recorded, it will not be seen, but it will make an impact in people's lives. It will make an impact in those who need help. And that will seep out and it will keep on spreading and keep on multiplying. If we go out in a place of genuine love and genuine desire to help people, because Christ loves people. And so, I just want to pray for you guys and just pray. Yeah, let's just pray. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, thank you so much for just being who you are, being so humble, that you allow us, your children, only to see a small 10% of your ministry, to see just how much you care for us and just how humble you are, that even being the God of the universe, just being the one who died for us, you still hide most of the things you did because you didn't need that fame, you didn't need that glory, Father. And you were just being you, you were just being amazing. And so I just pray that for everyone here today, that we will see fruit, Lord, because we are human. We like to see some results. That we can't do something forever without seeing nothing, God. And so I just pray you help us in our daily walk as we do ministry, as we just talk to people, as we love people, that we see you, we see fruit, that we see people's lives being changed, that we see just love blossoming from just the most dry, rocky ground. I just pray your love over everyone here and just your continued vitality and stamina to just fuel us and propel us forward as we go out in ministry, whether it just be something grand or whether it be something small that no one but you, the person who's being helped, sees. God, I thank you and we love you. And we just praise your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen.